We will call the quarterly board meeting to order. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome, everybody, this morning. Tina, good to see you this morning. Ms. Tina Piper from the AG's office is here. We'll welcome her. DCS, someone from DCS here? Oh yeah, there you are. Good to see you guys. Thank you for coming in and being with us today. We didn't know for sure if anyone would show up with weather like it is out there today. All right, very good. So as you can see, to my left is a brand new face. And I have in my hand an order here, an executive order, State of Georgia executive order by the governor, ordered that the Honorable Joyette Marie Holmes of Cobb County, Georgia, is appointed to serve as a member of the State Board of Pardons and Paroles for a term of office ending December 31st of 2030, to succeed the Honorable Jacqueline Bunn, whose term ended December 31st of 2023, this 5th day of January of 2024. Signed, Brian. That being said, I'm going to ask Ms. Holmes to join me in front. We'll administer the oath of office. If you'll put your yes and raise your right hand and repeat after me, and I'll do it in very short sentences. I, Joyette Holmes,
I, Joyette Holmes,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will discharge all the duties
that I will discharge all the duties
lawfully required of me
lawfully required of me
as a member of the State Board of Pardons and Paroles
as a member of the State Board of Pardons and Paroles
to the best of my ability and understanding.
to the best of my ability and understanding.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I am not the holder
that I am not the holder
of any accounted for public money
of any accounted for public money
due this state
due this state
or any political subdivision
or any political subdivision
or authority thereof,
or authority thereof,
that I am not the holder
that I am not the holder
of any office of trust
of any office of trust
under the government of the United States
of the under the government of the United States
or other state
or other state
or any foreign state
or any foreign state,
which I am prohibited from holding
which I am prohibited from holding
by the laws of the state of Georgia,
by the laws of the state of Georgia,
and that I am otherwise qualified
and that I am otherwise qualified
to hold this office
to hold this office
according to the Constitution of the United States
according to the Constitution of the United States
and the laws of Georgia,
and the laws of Georgia,
and that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
and that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome, congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
You will sign your oath.
Thank you.
All right, very good. So moving right along, we'll ask our chaplain, Chaplain Hill, if you'll come and offer a prayer for us this morning.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, distinguished members of the board, to our newest board member Holmes, welcome to our executive leadership and those who are assembled here today. Good morning and Happy New Year. Shall we pray together? God, you did it again. You brought us to a new year, one that's full of possibilities, one that is sure to come along with its own challenges and potential problems. God, as we stand and reflect upon a year that was, we can't help but tell you thank you. Thank you for all the things that you've done, for all that you're doing, and God, for those things that are in your will to be done. We pray for covering for this board, for this body, for this agency that is a family. We ask that you bless us all now, empower the leadership, endow them, give them what they need to lead us and to lead this agency and to lead the citizens of the state of Georgia. God, our trust is in you, our hope is in you. We ask that you continue to be who you are and who you've always been. Bless us now, God. We pray for peace, we pray for love, pray for joy. These and all other blessings we ask now in thy Son's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So let me make sure here, our board member Heaps, are you with us by phone, Ms. Heaps?
I am,
Awesome. I hope you're feeling better.
thank you.
Yes, very good. Ms. Heaps is a little under the weather this morning, so keep her in your prayers and thoughts. Otherwise, all 5 of us are here, one by phone, others in person. So the agenda was emailed out to each of you already earlier. Is there any additions? If not, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Move to adopt.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda has been adopted. So our first item of business is the adoption of the minutes from the December 6th board minutes. Those minutes also were emailed to each of the members. If there are no revisions or corrections, is there a motion to adopt the December 6th minutes?
Motion to adopt.
Is a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed,
Aye.
like sign. Hearing none, those minutes have been adopted. No old business to discuss at this time, but we do have 9 policy amendments, and I'll ask Director Kemner if he'll come and present those policy amendments at this time. We will, as we've traditionally done, work through each of these amendments and what they mean, and if any member wishes to pull one off and vote on them separately, we'll have an opportunity to do that at the conclusion of Director Kemner's presentation. Otherwise, we will adopt them as a batch. Our very first one is Board Policy 1.112, Employee Conduct and Social Networking Posts. Director Kemner.
Yes, sir. Board Policy 1.112, Employee Conduct and Social Networking Posts, in paragraph 1.106.6, language was added which addresses the use of marijuana or CBD products since usage is being legalized or permitted in many states.
Any questions from the board? No questions. Our next policy is Board Policy 1.120, Ethical Guidelines.
Board Policy 1.120, Ethical Guidelines, in paragraph 1.104.4, the term family member was replaced with the term relative. This is for clarification purposes to conform with the governor's executive order. In the same paragraph, a hyphen was added to half brother and half sister. In paragraph 1.104.8, a comma was added. In paragraph 1.105.2, the word A was added twice and 2 commas were removed for grammatical purposes. In paragraph 1.105.5, the word family member was replaced by relative. In paragraph 1.105.7, the word affluence was replaced with personal attributes. In paragraph 1.105.8.1, terminology was added to allow the paragraph to conform to the governor's executive order. In paragraph 1.105.8.2, the word may has been replaced with shall, and a comma was removed and replaced with the word and. The term and impartially was also removed. In paragraph 1.106.1, the word on was added for clarification purposes. And in paragraph 1.106.2, language was added to clarify the duties of employees who have a conflict of interest consistent with the governor's latest code of ethics. In paragraph 1.106.2.2, terminology was added that clarified that an employee will disclose to the ethics officer. And a new paragraph was added, 1.106.2.3. This was added that requires employees to disclose a personal or financial relationship that will or may cause a conflict of interest. It also includes a hyperlink to a form which the employee will use to disclose such information. In paragraph 1.106.3, a minor spelling correction was made. In paragraph 1.106.4.1, a comma was removed for grammatical purposes. And paragraph 1.106.4.2, a small underline mark was removed. And in 1.106.5, a comma was removed for grammatical purposes.
Okay, is there any questions from the board on ethical guidelines? Hearing none, we'll move to Board Policy 1.121, drug-free public workforce.
Board Policy 1.121, drug-free public workforce. In paragraph 1.101, the apostrophe after OCGA was replaced with a subsection symbol. This was replaced in two places. In paragraphs 1.101 and 1.102, a hyphen was added to the word drug-free. In paragraph 1.104.1, the entire definition and the term controlled substance has now been replaced with a new term, illegal drug, and a corresponding definition. This replacement was to provide an all-encompassing definition in order to be consistent with board policy regarding drug testing, and also to provide a definition for the term illegal drug as it's currently used throughout this policy without being defined. In paragraph 1.104.3, this was removed entirely as it is no longer necessary, and all subsequent paragraphs as a result were renumbered. In the newly numbered paragraph 1.104.3, a hyphen was added to the term drug-related offense, and some redundant language was replaced for clarity purposes. In paragraph 1.104.6, this was removed entirely as it no longer is necessary. And a new paragraph 1.105.1 was added to clarify the agency's position on employees' involvement with illegal drugs, and as a result, all subsequent paragraphs were renumbered. In the newly numbered paragraph 1.105.2, unnecessary language was removed and replaced as it was redundant due to the addition of the term illegal to describe a drug. In the newly numbered paragraphs 1.105 and 1.105.3 and 1.105.4, a hyphen was added to the word drug-related. Paragraph 1.106.1.1, unnecessary language was removed and replaced as it was redundant due to the addition of the term illegal to describe the drug. In paragraph 1.106.2.1, language was added in order to specify the subject of the notice that is to be given to employees. In paragraph 1.106.4.1, a hyphen was added to the word drug-related. An apostrophe after OCGA was replaced with the subsection symbol. In paragraph 1.106.5.1, an underscore was removed and a hyphen was added to the word drug-related. And finally, in paragraph 1.106.5.3, an underscore was removed.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, then we'll move to the next, which is Board Policy 1.122, employee alcohol and drug screening.
In Board Policy 1.122, employee alcohol and drug screening. In paragraph 1.101, the apostrophe after OCGA was replaced with the subsection symbol, and in paragraph 1.106.2.1, a minor spelling correction was made.
Okay. Any questions from the board? And then we'll move to the next, which is 1.124, random drug screening.
In Board Policy 1.124, random drug testing. In paragraphs 1.101 and 1.104.3, an apostrophe was removed and replaced with a subsection symbol, and this was done in several places. In paragraph 1.105.1, this was added to specify that employees who are authorized to carry firearms are prohibited from using illegal drugs and will be subject to random drug testing. As a result of this paragraph, all subsequent paragraphs have been renumbered. In paragraph 1.106.2.7, language was adjusted so as to provide consistency with language using the State Personnel Board rule.
Any questions from the members? Hearing no questions, we'll move to Board Policy 2.107, supervision of out-of-state releases.
In Board Policy 2.107, supervision of out-of-state releases. In paragraphs 1.105.2, 1.106.2, and 1.106.3, reference to this agency has now been replaced with Department of Community Supervision because out-of-state supervision is now a function of DCS. Also, we've replaced apostrophes with section symbols. That is after referencing the Georgia Code. We've made formatted changes such as adding a space between subsection symbol and the number Georgia Code section. We've deleted extra space between paragraphs 1.104.2 and 1.105. And lastly, throughout this policy, the font was changed from Arial to Courier in order to match with the heading of that policy.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll go to Board Policy 2.109, transfer of releases to and from other states.
In Board Policy 2.109, transfer to releases to and from other states, in paragraph 1.105.2, language was removed that referred to the transfer of interstate supervision cases being handled by an employee of this agency or the Department of Corrections. It was removed because this is no longer accurate. There was also a replacement of the apostrophes with subsection symbols when referencing the Georgia Code. Formatting changes such as adding a space between the section symbol and number of Georgia Code section, as well as added periods between the letters OCGA in paragraph 1.104.2. Deleted extra space was also made between paragraphs 1.104.2 and 1.105. And lastly, again, throughout this policy, the font of that policy was changed from Arial to Courier in order to match with the heading of that policy.
Any questions from the board? Hearing no questions, we'll move to board policy 2.112, equipment assignments and acquisitions.
Board policy 2.112, equipment assignment and acquisition. In paragraph 1.106.5.2, a sentence was removed that discussed using a property transfer form when firearms from one employee to another, as this form is no longer in use. In paragraph 1.106.8.1, the term duty belt was removed as it was mentioned twice and became redundant. Formatting change was also made by adding section symbols referencing Georgia Code. Their space was added between symbol sections and code numbers in paragraph 1.106.4.4 and 1.106.5.6. This making the subsection reference lowercase in both paragraphs and hyphenating the code section in paragraph 1.106.5.6. And as a result, also removed the periods between the numbers.
And finally, before that, is there any questions? Hearing no, finally, board policy 3.301, annual in-service training.
In board policy 3.301, annual service training, in paragraph 1.105.5, 2 new courses were added for sworn staff to take each calendar year: human trafficking and gang awareness. These 2 courses were added as per the governor's initiative beginning in the 2024 calendar year and moving forward. A apostrophe was also replaced with the section symbol when referencing the Georgia Code.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, does any board member desire to take any policy off and vote on it separately? Hearing none, then we will vote on all 9 as a batch. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt all changes.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Hearing none, all have been adopted. Thank you, good job.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We'll come to this point, we'll hear from our executive director, Chris Barnett.
Good morning. Director Kimner, great job. I really appreciate the 1.125.7 QR. That really was riveting. But I will tell you, while it may seem a little drawn out, it truly is important, because these policies and procedures make sure that we're using best practices and are within the legal guidelines on the work that we do every day. So, Chris, thank you so much for all the hard work and again, making it look easy, because I'm not sure if I could say all that in one breath. Chairman Barnard, Vice Chairman Herring, and distinguished board members, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for your continued leadership, your unwavering support, and your thoughtful guidance as we strive to remain the most effective, efficient executive clemency authority in the nation. Let me start off by welcoming our newest board member, Ms. Joyette Holmes. Congratulations. And I think with that oath, you passed the first test. That was probably one of the longest oaths I've heard. So great job. We are truly excited to have you with us and on our team. Don't believe all the things you've heard about the board, new board member training. It's not that bad.
Okay.
Well, maybe, but we haven't lost anybody yet. I'll say that. So we're doing well. But seriously, myself and the entire operational team are here for you. We look forward to your partnership, your insight, and your vision as we continue to navigate executive clemency consideration in the state of Georgia. Operationally, we continue to evaluate our people, our processes, and technology to ensure we are achieving maximum performance. And we remain committed to the board's mission and its 3 pillars of ensuring public safety, protecting victims' rights, and providing opportunities for positive change. Today we'll have a more robust director's report, as each division will have a quick report out, a check-in, if you will, of where we are, some great projects moving forward, and of course, a quick look back on where we've come from. So without ado, I'm going to call Ms. Crystal Moon, our Clemency Division Director, to come forward and provide her report.
Good morning. Good morning. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and the entire board. I am honored to provide an update on the progress within the Clemency Division by highlighting the advancements of our people, process, and technology that have propelled us toward greater efficiency, fairness, and effectiveness while striving towards excellence. Our Clemency Division is fortunate to have a team dedicated, committed to upholding the principles of justice and fairness. Professional development stands as a crucial aspect by empowering individuals to their potential of personal growth. With that being said, we have an outstanding number of team members who have recently been promoted or hired within the division. First, I'd like to call up Kristen Brooks. She was promoted as a hearing examiner effective July 3rd, 2023. She began her career as a state intern with the Newton County Public Defender's Office. She graduated from the University of Georgia with a bachelor's in criminal justice and bachelor's in sociology.
Go Dogs.
Upon graduation, she was hired by the Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice as a juvenile probation specialist. In 2019, she was promoted to a probation officer with a high-intensity team supervision. In 2021, Christian was hired by the Georgia Office of Victim Services as a victim service specialist. While at GOVS, she was primary coordinator of the Lifer Attempt Locate project. She piloted the new 5-year review victim notification project that was presented at the first GOVS conference. In addition, Christian created the community resource guide used by the GOVS to assist crime victims based on their country of residence. Thank you.
Good job.
Next is Lataris Ronnie. Lataris was promoted to a hearing examiner effective July 3rd of last year. She began her career with the State Board of Pardons and Paroles in May of 2001. Within the Clemency Division, Lataris served many roles. She was a data transcriber. She was a secretary to the Guidelines Unit. She was a cons member as well, parole investigator, lead parole investigator. Lataris graduated from St. Leo University with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and is currently pursuing a master's degree in criminal investigations. Next we have is Victoria. Victoria was promoted as a hearing examiner effective October of last year. She graduated from Kennesaw State University with a bachelor's degree in human services in 2013. She worked as a victim advocate for the Cobb County District Attorney's Office for several years before joining the parole team in January of 2019 as a parole investigator. She was later promoted to the lead parole investigator in the Northern Region in September of 2020. Next we have is Justin Redford. He began his position in the hearing examiner in February of last year. He is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice from Eastern Kentucky University. He began his career with the state of Georgia in 2015 with the Georgia Department of Corrections at Phillips State Prison. He held numerous positions there, and the last one being the chief counselor. Next I have is Cheryl King. Cheryl joined the Clemency Division in August of last year. She was born in a great city of Atlanta. She attended and graduated high school at South High Archer High School as the top of her class. Daring to be different, she didn't follow the conventional path to college, so instead she went to the U.S. Army, where she was stationed in Frankfurt, Germany. After discharging from the Army, she began her professional career with Equifax, managing people and products for over 35 years. Thank you. Next I have is Patina Latham. On August 1st of last year, Patina was promoted to the manager of the Pardon Administration Unit. She began her career with the Parole Board as a temporary employee in the Field Operations Division in 1997. After becoming a permanent employee, Patina was promoted to various positions to include a clerk, Secretary 1 and 2, and Administrative Support 2, Pardon Administrative Assistant, and an Assistant Manager of the Pardon Unit. She's certified as a CGIS network operator and a graduate of the Professional Skills and Leadership Development Program. She continues to serve throughout the agency, utilizing the system of the Google applications for daily business functions, updating the restoration orders templates, and streamlining the processes for maximum efficiency. Thank you. Next I have is Kiara Joyner. Kiara was promoted as the Assistant Manager of the Pardon Admin Unit in October of last year. She began her career with the State Board of Pardons and Paroles within the Pardon Admin Unit as a mail clerk and receptionist in June of 2019. In 2020, she was promoted to an Admin Support 3, tasked with various duties such as restoration orders and updating the applicant's criminal history. She is a valuable asset to the Pardon Admin Unit. She graduated from the Riverdale High School and is currently enrolled in Columbus State University, completing her Bachelor's of Science degree in Sociology. Next I have is Jennifer Ryan. Jennifer began her position as an institutional parole investigator at the Georgia Diagnostics and Classification Prison in October of last year. She is a graduate of Lowndes High School, class of 1984 in Valdosta, and later attended Valdosta Technical Institute. Jennifer was employed by AT&T for 25 years, and when her department surplused, she went into the education system, holding a position as a front office secretary in June of 2015. Our last person who's not here due to the weather, his name is Brad West. Brad joined the Clemency Division as a criminal investigator. Brad began his career in law enforcement as a deputy sheriff in Jefferson County, where he served as a jailer and a road patrol deputy. He earned a basic law enforcement officer certification in September of 1992. He's a graduate from Augusta University in December of 2000, having earned a degree in history with a minor in communications. He began working with the State Board of Pardons and Paroles in January of 2001 at the Augusta Parole Center. In 2013, Brad moved this position of the Parole Center liaison at Washington State Prison in Sandersville, Georgia. He served in this position through the merger in 2015 and transitioned to the Department of Community Supervision. Advancements and process and technology have played a pivotal role in modernizing our clemency division. We have implemented a new electronic pardon application system that enhances our data accuracy, facilitates information sharing, and improves overall efficiency in handling pardon cases. These technological upgrades have allowed us to track more effectively, reducing administrative burdens, and ensuring that case materials are electronically submitted for review to the board. As we continue to move forward, our focus remains on continuous improvement and enhancement. We are continued and committed to refining our processes, leveraging technology, and fostering culture of continuous development and learning while striving towards excellence. The dedication of my team, coupled with improved processes and technological advancements, positions us to navigate complexities of clemency considerations effectively. Thank you for your support, your trust, and your commitment by allowing the Clemency Division the opportunity to uphold the culture and the principle of excellence. Thank you.
I tell you, friends, I was coming up here to say great job, Crystal, and I heard Kier say show off. I will say what a great job, and I just want to point out maybe something that not everybody picked up on. Certainly, we recruit the best from all different areas, but we also develop from within. You heard a lot of folks that started out and have worked their way up to where they are. And that I am most proud of, to provide that professional development and those opportunities. But those opportunities can't happen just in and of themselves, right? We have to have great partners. And I'd like to highlight one of our great partners sitting back there in the back, Patrick Holsey. Go ahead and stand up, Patrick. Patrick Holsey works for the Department of Community Supervision, and we have an agreement that when we have someone that wants to move from that administrative side of the house to the post-certified law enforcement side, that Patrick and his team will bring them into their basic training and allow them to go along exactly with their officers through that certification process, and we appreciate that, Patrick. And one last thing I want to say about Patrick that maybe not everybody in the room knows, he was just promoted to Chief Operating Officer with the Department of Community Supervision. Congratulations. I've known Patrick for a lot of years, and he is a great man and very deserving. So next, I will bring up Field Services in place of Felicia Holloway, who, believe it or not, is actually on vacation this week. I'm not sure who approved that, but we're gonna check into it. But we've got Alan Smith, the Deputy Director of Field Services.
Yeah, well, Alan's coming up here. Patrick, how long you worked for the state now? 32, 33, 50 years?
About 31.
I knew it. Yeah, so yeah, I see now why they did that for you. They want to hang on to you, it sounds like.
Oh no.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right, good morning, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, and esteemed board members. First off, I would, on behalf of Director Holloway, who is sitting on a beach in Montego Bay as we speak, again, how she got away with that, I don't know, but on behalf of her, myself, and the rest of the Field Services Division, I would like to thank you, the board, for your continued leadership, guidance, and support of the Field Services Division and staff on what we do on a daily basis. And new board member, Ms. Holmes, I would also like to welcome you as well as part of the team. And my staff and I wish you nothing but the best, and we look forward to working with you in the upcoming months and years. We come here today also to recognize some of our staff, and it's going to be the scanning and imaging team. Back in 2015, they began a project of scanning and imaging and uploading all of the active inmate lifer files. This was in order to do away with the tens of thousands of files that we had. And in 2015, they began that project. And I want to say that as of last week, they completed that project. In partnership with that project, in 2017, they began scanning and imaging all of the active lifer files, and there was just a little bit over 1,800 of those at the time. And in November of 2023, they finished that project as well. So as of now, there are no more hard copies of lifer files. And they did this despite a lot of challenges along the way, the biggest of which was staff turnover. And in fact, from between 2015 and now, there's only one person left on that team, and that's Ms. Laverne Copeland. But, between renovation projects, which there were two, and COVID forcing us to reboot all of our processes, they were able to overcome all those things and get everything taken care of. So I just want to congratulate them again. And I would like to invite Ms. Tina Ruck up. She is the team leader for scanning and imaging, and she can introduce the folks that are here with us today, and she can maybe tell you a little bit something about what else they have to do going on.
Good morning, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Board, new member, welcome. We're happy to have you. I would just like to say how thankful I am for the opportunity to work for the Parole Board. It's wonderful. It's a family unit. And my ladies, their hard work, dedication, and determination is what made this completion of these two projects that was entrusted to us by Mr. Barnett to complete by the end of December. And Ms. Laverne Copeland has been here through the whole process of the scan unit. And stand up, Ms. Laverne. She is a very big asset to our team, and she got in and just, same with Miss Keisha Ogletree. She's also an asset to our team. Our other member, Miss Shayla McKenna, she is out today because she is sick, but she's a hard worker too, and she was promoted from being the receptionist to our team last year. So what's on the horizon for the SCAN team is we still have the active archive project, which is from the State's Record Center, to scan all those files. So the number of files approximately remaining are 134,184. They normally do 900 scanning and prepping and uploading of those archive files a month, but we're gonna, since the 2 projects are completed, we're gonna try to increase that to 1,200, which would be a 25% increase of their production. We also receive parole certificates from the DOC, ADA documents, and miscellaneous documents, which are correspondent, and other documents from legal and clemency that need to be scanned and uploaded. We receive the violation team documents, rectification, board votes, other documents, and that's what's on there for us. So we still have a lot of work to do, and we look forward to completing anything that we can for any of you guys.
Thank you.
And I would like to add that the archive files, they have to stay ahead of those because they get destroyed after they sit over there for for a certain amount of time. And in all the years that they've been doing it and requesting files from over there, there was only a very short period during COVID where we weren't able to keep up with that, where we had any files destroyed, and that was just very few. So again, thank you to my team. Any questions? Otherwise, that completes our report out. Thank you.
Great job, Alan and Tina, and we realize that y'all not going anywhere. We got plenty of work left. At this time, I'm going to ask Keir Chappell, our Deputy Director of the Georgia Office of Victim Services, to come up and provide his report.
He said, come by.
Come by.
Good morning, Board. And thank you again for this opportunity to talk about the great work of the Georgia Office of Victim Services. As the division continues our focus on people, processes, and services, I want to take a few moments to highlight some of the important things going on. Brene Brown once said, "Trust isn't earned through ivory towers and gatekeeping, but through open access, demonstrable impact, and the culture of continuous learning. Expertise is a shared journey, not a guarded frontier." With that thinking, this year, the management team embraced a bold vision to solidify our role as Georgia's premier source for post-conviction victim information and advocacy. One of our key initiatives has been the pursuit of credentialing through the National Organization of Victim Assistance National Advocate Credentialing Program, NACP. That's a really long title, but NACP. This voluntary program, open to any dedicated professional, offers tiered credential programming. Tiered credential recognizing experience levels from provisional to advanced. Advocates can even show specialized expertise like domestic violence or sexual assault with documented training backing it up. So you may ask, why is credentialing crucial? Well, the reasons are numerous. Enhanced credibility and recognition. NACP accreditation instantly elevates our standing within the victim assistance field, showcasing our commitment to rigorous standards. Standardized training. The program mandates a baseline of 40 hours of pre-service training, ensuring every advocate possesses the essential knowledge and skills. Furthermore, it encourages 32 hours of education every 2 years, fostering a culture of continuous learning and growth. Increased mobility and opportunity. The NACP credentials open doors to advancement opportunities within organizations like ours that values accredited professionals. And then public confidence and trust. Clients, victims gain peace of mind knowing they're receiving services from experts dedicated to upholding the highest ethical and professional standards. I'm proud to say that as of this date, all the members of your Georgia Office of Victim Services are nationally credentialed advocates. In October of 2023, our office applied for and was granted, approved for the Victim of Crime Act, also known as VOCA, grant to fund our enhanced 3-month project. The 3-month process is when every month the Department of Corrections generates a list of offenders with board-designated violent offenses who've been transferred to their custody without registered victims within the last 3 months. When we filter the list, we basically go through the list, filter it, and send it out to PAC for the purpose of them sending out to each judicial circuit to make sure that no victim falls through the crack. They have the opportunity to register. So the enhanced process takes it a little bit further. Our team starts going through those older lists, those lists around 3 or 4 months old, and we start filtering and find out have any of those victims actually been registered. Did anyone still get missed even through our second process? Using some of our criminal and parole investigators, along with our detailed attempt to locate process, we're locating victim information and ultimately getting those victims registered. It kind of reflects our commitment to make sure every victim has an opportunity to have their voice heard by the board. In April, we'll be recognizing National Crime Victims' Rights Week, whose theme is Options, Services, and Hope for Crime Survivors. During that week and throughout the month, we'll highlight local, state, and national resources that provide information, hope, and healing to crime survivors. And finally, we started the development of the Critical Incident Stress Management Program, or CISM. CISM is an intervention protocol developed specifically for dealing with traumatic events. If you can kind of imagine with me some of the trauma our victims go through dealing with the things that we have to go through. So if you can imagine, let me say, some of the trauma our victims go through, or even some of the stressful events and information our parole, GDC, and DCS staff see every day. CISM is like helping hand during those times. It's a way of giving them opportunity to talk about what happened, to share your feelings, and understand how it might be affecting you. Think of it as a safe space, a group chat with friendly listeners who get it. You can vent, you can share your thoughts, you can learn about common reactions to stressful situations. It's not therapy, but it's like a psychological first aid for trauma victims and our staff, giving them a chance to heal and kind of get back to normal and get back on track. A major focus of the program is creating a team that includes a comfort dog or a canine dog, or a canine-ish dog. These specially trained dogs provide emotional support and comfort to individuals who have experienced trauma and emotional distress. These dogs are trained to be calm, gentle, and responsive to the needs of those they interact with. They can help reduce anxiety, provide a sense of security, and offer unconditional love and companionship. Well, I'm pleased to announce that after a lengthy interview process and some really great candidates, we've chosen hearing examiner Mandy Kimler as our new Comfort Canine Handler, and she's going to start January 16th. So Mandy, who has a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Criminal Justice from Plain State University, comes to us with a plethora of experience, you like that word, starting as a sergeant with the United States Marine Corps, to her nearly 17 years with the parole board as an officer, hearing examiner, weapon armorer, and member of the Clemency's Distinguished Critical Analysis Unit. We're excited to have Mandy on our team, and we're really excited about everything that the CISM program is going to be doing for the state of Georgia. With that, that'll conclude my report unless there are any questions.
Thank you.
Great. What a great job here, thank you. And I tell you, I'm so proud of the Georgia Office of Victim Services. Go back a couple of decades and really they were just processing notices. Very small group of maybe 3 people. Now they are providing direct victim services to those that have been impacted by violent crime here in Georgia. And I just applaud the entire team for your work, your dedication, and taking on this critical task. Thank you so much. Next, I'm going to call our Director of Human Resources, Iris McKinnon.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, distinguished board members, and welcome Ms. Holmes, our newest board member. I have 3 minutes to recap just some of the great things that we've done this year in the Office of Human Resources. Our Human Resources area houses our most valuable stakeholders, and those are our employees. This year we've had an epic year We use people analytics to analyze employee and workforce data to produce insight and enhance the employee experience. A little of our statistical data is that this year there were 552 total employee transactions. We responded to over 2,008 emails. We received and screened over 1,465 applications. And during our onboarding process, we created, actually during COVID, an hybrid new employee orientation whereby we can conduct orientation in person or virtually. We also facilitated over 18 training sessions for our managers and employees this year. Some of those were, just to name a few, achieving professional deportment, upskill, reskill, or hire, workplace civility, let's talk development of soft skills, new manager training, personal finance, resetting after COVID, the new norm. We had a retirement training, and we also welcomed in our external stakeholders from the Georgia Commission of Economic Employment and also EEOC. We actually brought in outsiders to conduct training to ensure that our employees and managers are in compliance. One of the most heartwarming trainings for me this year was the caregiving while working, because as an HR director, I have somewhat of insight as to what's going on with our employees. And in 2023, we had a great number of employees that were taking care of aging parents or taking care of babies. And it's very challenging if you've ever been just thrown into a caregiving situation, because oftentimes illnesses come out of the blue, they're unexpected. And then you struggle to find work-life balance or trying to develop a team to help you. So that particular training, we had a hands-on training session where we sat down and we had discussions, and also it provided a safe space for our employees to release. Sometimes it was just a matter of just having someone to talk to that understood that some of the same challenges that you were going through yourself as a caregiver. So with that training, we were able to make some connections, provide some resources for our employees, to connect them or to give them some ideas of how they could partner with churches and local organizations in the communities that could perhaps help make that process a lot easier for them. So that was one of my most heartwarming training that we done this year, and it was something that was much needed. As far as transactions, our employee turnover rate for 2023 was at 9.7%. That's if we include the retirees. It is at 6.28% if we remove the employees that retired. We processed 4 hire appointments. We had 11 promotions, 1 rehire, 7 resignations, 6 retirements, 7 transfer ins, and 3 transfers out. We also pride ourselves on employee engagement and community engagement. We, once a year, this is the second year that we've held our state charitable contribution kickball tournament. It's a way to engage our employees, but also it's a way that we come together as a team and raise money for some great charities in the state. And this year we came together for the second year. Our Office of Field Services took the trophy home again, but we were able to raise, we were able to come together and, fellowship and have so much fun with our team, but also we were able to raise over $600 to donate to some of the charities that we support in the state of Georgia. So we were so super excited about that. We also reward or recognize our employees with our Faithful Service Awards annually for their years of service, for their commitment and dedication to the state. Also, in the Office of Human Resources, we partner with Division Director Crystal Moon, Felicia Holloway, here at Chapel. Ms. Rocker. We partner with our division and unit leaders, and we go out into the communities and we engage our community stakeholders. We go out and we support career fairs at colleges and universities, high schools, and even middle school. And I hear you say middle school. I'm glad you asked that question. In my professional experience, oftentimes individuals that are pursuing a career in law enforcement, by the time they make it to college, some of them have already have violations that will prohibit them from ever getting a career or a job opportunity in law enforcement. So with that being said, we pride ourselves on going in early, middle school and high school, and speaking with the young people, making them aware of the choices that they have to make and what decisions that they have to make if they want to pursue a career in law enforcement. We tell them you can't ride around with your friends and do some of the things that your friends do. You have to be sure that you're making the right decisions right now, because the decisions that they're making in middle school and high school are following them for the rest of their lives. We also pride ourselves on retaining the top talent. And I am so elated to introduce to you today the newest member of our HR team, Janelle Edwards. Come up here. I know I'm over my 3 minutes, so I won't go a long spell, but this is Janelle Edwards. Janelle Edwards came to the parole board in 2014. She has served exceptionally well in the Georgia Office of Victim Services. She's held several key positions there in management, helped to train a lot of the staff, and she's done a phenomenal job. And I've always told them since 2014 that I was going to steal her. So I finally had an opportunity to have Janelle join my team as our Human Resources Operations Manager. Janelle holds an applied science degree in Human Resources Administration and Development. And I can't think of a better person that I would have to be on my HR team. I have no doubt that the two of us will be able to continue to exceed your level of expectation and service. And welcome, Janelle, and I'm just so delighted to have you. That concludes my presentation, unless there are any questions. Thank you.
Great job. Now, anybody that knows Iris and her team, they know that she is a customer service superstar. She'll help you in any way that she can. But with that being said, Iris, I would probably take the long way back to your office and not go by victim services. I've heard some plans being hatched over there. Just looking out for your safety. At this time, I'd like to ask Director Kimner to come back up and talk about some more policies. Oh, maybe not. I think you have a presentation or recognition or not. We're doing that next meeting?
We don't have.
Okay, all right, fantastic. We're going to move on to the next one. At this time, I'm going to ask our Chief Financial Officer, Kristen Kennedy, to come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome, Ms. Holmes. I'm very glad to have you. And the Budget and Fiscal Management Unit is very glad that you're here and can't wait to work with you. I'll keep my comments very brief. So I just wanted to provide a quick fiscal year 24 midpoint budget update now that we're halfway through the fiscal year. Our target spend rate through the first 6 months of the year is at 50%. And our actual spend rate is just under that at 49.24%. So we are right on target, and based on our current and projected spending, we expect to end the year in a positive financial state with adherence to budgetary standards. We will continue to be conservative in our spending as we have for the last 6 months to ensure that we close out the fiscal year in a positive budget standing. Just want to briefly mention that legislative session is upon us. The governor's State of the State address is this Thursday, where he will unveil his budget priorities and recommendations for the amended and upcoming fiscal years. Chris, Rita, and I briefly met with the Office of Planning and Budget Director, Rick Dunn, last week, where he shared a general overview of their recommendations for our budget. And I think I'm very excited about it. I'm pleased with it. And his budget report should be posted after his State of the State address on Thursday. So after the conclusion of his speech, we'll know the exact line items and amounts on Thursday at that time. And I'll keep you all posted on that as soon as we have it. Joint appropriations hearings are scheduled for next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have not been asked to present so far. I think they're just doing the larger agency budget. So if we get asked to speak there, I'll keep you posted on that as well. That concludes my remarks. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
All right, so we've spent some time talking about where we're at, some exciting projects moving forward, but I think it's also important to see where we've been. So I'm going to ask our Director of Communications, Steve Hayes, to come forward and give us a brief overview of what we were able to accomplish last year and motivate us to achieve even more in the year ahead. So Steve Hayes.
Good morning, Board. Thank you, Chris. I want to say thank you, Chris Barnett, our Executive Director, and my immediate supervisor, Deputy Executive Director Rita Rocker. Thank you for your support that enables us to tell the good story about Paroles. So let's see here. Got a little equipment needs. And what I'm going to do is talk about the FY fiscal year 2023 annual report and highlight that year and talk a little bit about the communications department and what we do there to get the word out about the State Board of Pardons and Paroles. So again, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, Ms. Heap on the phone, and Mr. Ward and our new member, Ms. Holmes. Welcome again, Ms. Holmes. It's going to be a great pleasure to work with you. So our State Board of Pardons and Paroles annual report for fiscal year 2023. The report is informative and educates the public and our stakeholders about the board's responsibilities and our constitutional authority as a board. It illustrates how public safety is improved because of the board's actions and use of executive clemency authority granted per the state constitution. Under the leadership of the board and our executive leadership team, Executive Director Barnett and Deputy Director Rita Rocker, on a daily basis, we're enhancing public safety through our day-to-day operations. Our operations are guided by what we describe as our 4 E's. You'll see it there in the lower left-hand corner. Engaging stakeholders, educating the community, encouraging active participation in the parole process, and enhancing operations. If we do all of these successfully, and we have been very successful in doing so, at the end of the day, each year, public safety is enhanced or improved due to the daily implementation of our 4 E's. There's our org chart briefly. And then we turn to our highlights for the fiscal year. Of course, we had leadership elected, and Mr. Ward joined the board in the fiscal year. And over the next several pages, we talk about the 4 E's and engaging our stakeholders and educating the community about the parole process. I stop here briefly. We've talked a little bit about our victim services. The Georgia Office of Victim Services continues on an annual basis to serve victims through many programs, including victim impact sessions, whereas our staff, a board member, clemency staff, and victim services staff go into the communities and are able to spend a great deal of time to speak with our victims, get their viewpoints and community views on cases, which all of that information is then included in the case file for the board members to review. So again, great job by our victim services in FY23. Again, our 4 E's, we are actively pushing our stakeholder engagement, educating our communities. It's important that our communities understand who we are as a parole board and how they can be participating in the parole process. We have many families that contact the board about offenders in the system, and we are, all the time giving them information about the process, giving them, of course, status updates on the offender, but it's important for them to learn the process and what they can do to help the offender who is incarcerated to be parole ready, as we say, complete programming and do the things that they need to do so that when the board looks at them, then they can be ready for that review and decision by the board. We continue to engage our law enforcement, important stakeholders, to inform them and to be engaged with those organizations and agencies across the state to ensure that they understand what the parole board does and that we are there through Director Barnett's office to lend a hand whenever they may need, so that we can all be on the same page and work toward a greater public safety. Our guidelines were revalidated every 5 years. We update those to make sure that they are in line with the standards that we uphold, as well as the based on Georgia cases and Georgia information, to make sure that they are up to date with community views. We did that again in FY23. And then, of course, we are always taking part in order to make sure that we're always working with best practices in parole. And so we have a highlight here of some of the conference training that we attended, but not only that, the presentations that we put forth. We have agencies and organizations across the nation that are calling on the State Board of Pardons and Paroles in Georgia, asking about our programs. We have developed, as Crystal Moon, the Clemency Director, spoke to our electronic pardon application. We did a couple of presentations at national conferences regarding that. So we're always giving back as well as taking in order to make sure that we're at the top of our game. The chairman's letter there, very informative about the fiscal year, highlighting some of the statistical information. And then the next section is our 5-member board information. It talks a great deal about the constitutional authority, the responsibility of the agency. And so, before I get out of here, I want to make sure that the public understands that this is a very informative tool to help educate them about the parole process, and that it's available not only on our website, but from our office. We'll be glad to, if they want to contact us through our ombudsman, that we will be glad to send them a hard copy. And also we have hard copies here in the boardroom for anyone that would like to have one today. So that section talks about the 5-member board and its constitutional authority and responsibilities. Then we have our bio section for our board members, the chairman, vice chairman, and our board members here with us in fiscal year 2023. We'll have to update that for fiscal year 2024. It includes Ms. Holmes. So then we have our executive leadership, Chris and Rita, and another informative letter from Chris Barnett about fiscal year 2023. So again, I encourage members of the public and our stakeholders who we've already made the annual report available to them to delve deeply into this report. And then we get to a lot of the meat about the processes, our three major divisions, Clemency, Field Services, and Victim Services. You've met Ms. Moon, Director of Clemency. And this section is put together under her guidance and leadership with her staff, and it talks about the clemency processes in detail. So again, this is a very in-depth reference document for anyone that wants to understand the parole process in Georgia. It talks about the process, our electronic case management system. We cover what the guidelines. Also, there's a section there about what's in the parole file for those who want to know what's considered by the board. We talk about the tentative parole months, the initial decision on our guidelines cases for all inmates who are parole eligible by statute. I think there's, always for someone new in the system, the family, first time encountering the system, some of these terms are a little bit hard to understand. The parole eligibility date is set by statute according to the sentencing from the courts. So that's what we call the PED. And then the tentative parole months is the initial decision by the board, which sets a future possible parole period for the individual. We talk about our notifications, both statute by statute, and also how we've gone above and beyond to make sure that everyone involved and all our stakeholders are notified of the board's decisions. Life sentence cases and our pardon admin unit is covered in the annual report. Throughout this report, we have the pertinent statistical information highlighted in some graphs, but also in the body of the text. So again, a very in-depth report. We talk about our criminal investigators who help the Clemency Division work in the Clemency Division and put the initial case information in. And our critical analysis unit is highlighted, and then there on the right are some fast numbers for clemency actions for the fiscal year. And also we have a quick 15-step guide to the parole process in Georgia. Moving to the Field Services Division. The Field Services Division is about parole compliance. They work obviously hand in hand with the Georgia Department of Community Supervision to ensure that our offenders on parole supervision are in compliance, and if they're not complying with some of the requirements, then DCS, the Department of Community Supervision, and our Field Services Division is working closely to make sure that we get them back in compliance, and of course, if necessary, if there is a risk to public safety, then they're brought back into the system. And again, we have the pertinent parole statistics there regarding our hearings, revocations, commutations. If an offender is doing well, they can have their sentence shortened by the board. It's one of the constitutional things that the board has to do authority-wise. So we work with DCS. If they notify us that an offender is doing well, then it's brought before the board to make that consideration. Our district operations managers are the engine in field services. They're the ones working closely with DCS officers. And then we cover our interstate compact. We have some fast numbers there on how parole is giving back to the state, and through our successful parole completions, the cost avoidance on an annual basis to the state. And I don't think it's been mentioned yet today, but again, for the fiscal year, we were over 70% in our parole success rate, which is parole completions successfully completed. And again, that's among the national leaders and it's also roughly about 15 percentage points ahead of the national average, which it remains there, has been since my coming onto the board many years ago, at least for the past decade. It continues to be among the nation's leaders. So it's a testament to the all the work that the agency does, all of our commitment and roles to public safety, and to make sure that the board members have the necessary information to make parole decisions and make the best decisions. We get to the Georgia Office of Victim Services. Kier did a great job covering that area. They have many programs, a lot of information in here. They do a great service to all our registered victims in the state. It was a big year for the Georgia Office of Victim Services. I can't wait to see what they have planned for National Crime Victims' Rights Week in 2023. And then we have our support offices, IRIS and Human Resources, Chris Kimner in training, again, statistical information there for anyone to see. And also we have our budget, quick look at our annual budget that Ms. Kinney talked a little bit about. So that's going to wrap it up. Again, I think it's one of the many things that we do at Parole to make sure that we get the word out, to get the information out about the Georgia Board of Pardons and Paroles and how we're enhancing public safety through our processes. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Chris Barnett, unless you have any questions. Let me, if I may, I was going to do this. I'm going to give a shout out to our digital media specialist, Mr. Jordan Bailey in the back. He's a great help. We have other staff in the Office of Communications. Ms. Holmes, you get to meet them, and reception, as well as our ombudsman who answers our daily emails, Ms. Anas Tucker, and she's not here today, but we receive hundreds of emails through that on a daily basis, offender families, questions about just information, and she does a great job. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve, for that presentation. I want to throw a number out to you real quick, and I know it's getting late and our stomachs are growling over here, so. But, okay,
She just states the obvious.
168. 168. I know Miss Iris knows what that number is, and I know Chris does. All of this work is done by 168 people.
Yes.
And I want to say, this is just a very few of our staff here, but I think we have some of the hardest working staff in the state of Georgia. You've seen just a little bit about what we've accomplished in 2023, and I know we're going to do, I'm going to steal somebody's word, epic. We're going to do epic things in 2024 too. So with that, unless there are any questions for any of us board, we conclude our report for today.
Great job, staff.
Thank you. Thank you to all 168. I think that includes board members too, does it?
That'd be 173.
Oh, okay. 168 makes the board look pretty good. Thank you so much. You know, before I get to our public comment sections, I'm going to yield the microphone to our news member, Ms. Holmes. Let her introduce this very handsome man sitting on the front row here.
Thank you. And before I do that, I just want to reiterate what the chaplain said when he first came out and said he did it again. And he really did, with everything that's going on, to bring us all here today and to serve together. And I'm grateful for his favor that I'm sitting here today. I am grateful as well to the governor because he physically makes the appointment, and so I'm grateful for his seeing me and believing me to be a good addition to this board and to this team that does so much work across the state. And now my husband, Burgess Holmes. We have been friends for 30 years. met at the University of Georgia, go Dogs, and married for 23 of those years, share 2 wonderful daughters who are currently in college, one at Florida A&M in Tallahassee, and one at Georgia Southern in Statesboro. I saw a look. There are 2 eagles in here. Okay. But thank you so much, babe, for being here with me this morning. All the things I do couldn't do without having your support every day. So thank you. The welcome this morning was amazing. Let me just tell you, I am so thankful for each and every one that I've already met, the welcome that has been given. It feels like I'm in a room full of people that I've known forever. And there are a couple people in the room that I have known in other places and spaces. And so good to see familiar faces. We'll always shout out the hometown Valdosta. Miss Jennifer, I heard that Lowndes High School reference. I attended the rival school, Valdosta High School. But again, good to be in a room of people who have very welcoming faces. I would say very welcoming hearts, because sometimes, you know, you can act happy to have someone, and but I truly got a feeling of a genuine spirit of welcome this morning, and so I'm grateful for that. Excited to serve. I am grateful that the fire hose of information doesn't start until tomorrow, executive director, because as I told you, I forgot my flavored tablets to make that fire hose water taste better. But I will bring it with me tomorrow so that I am well prepared. And thank you, Director Kimner, for working with me this morning, giving me the information I needed to be able to vote and be confident in the information that was provided for those votes. So thank you.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Well, we're grateful that the governor, with his amazing powers, has searched throughout the entire state and other places throughout the nation, but he chose you. And so we're so happy that you're with us today. Everybody knows that you're a welcome addition. We will miss Jacqueline, no doubt, but we will grow to appreciate and respect your work here as well. Thank you. All right, so that puts us into public comments. I'll remind you that we will not take comments or questions on a specific offender, but if you do have comments or questions on a specific offender, we have a call line, and that number is 404-656-4661. There will be someone there welcoming your call if you do have questions or comments on a specific offender. But for those of you who want to make comments on any of the items which are on the agenda today, now will be the opportunity. Are there public comments? Looks like there are no public comments. That being said, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
All right.